Two bits of excellent news. Number one, Tim Steidten is staying with the club, confirmed by the club. Number two, club also confirmed that he's flown out to Brazil to watch 4 games. 4 games. So I can only assume that's lots of different players and not just the same player playing in 4 games. At the moment, the fine detail doesn't overly matter. I think the important thing is that it does seem like there is some sort of process, some sort of project, and something that's looking forward to the future. And I'm pretty excited about this, and I'm pretty buoyed by this. And I needed, I think, certainly a little bit of good news following the defeat to Leverkusen. It wasn't just a defeat. No, let me just put it that way. I think the defeat I can take. I do not expect to win a European competition every season. I really don't. I'm a West Ham fan. I've seen too many relegations and other sort of unfortunate circumstances before the club. However, I think what I disliked most about it was probably by the team that we were beaten by. Not that I've got anything against Leverkusen. Nothing at all. In fact, I've got a huge amount of admiration for them. But I think what bothered me most was, I think the way David Moyes had not approached the game, I've said that, but I think the way he spoke about the game. Now, for those of you who don't know, Moyes said in his press conference in the build-up to the Fulham game, David Moyes said, look, he said Leverkusen have got a decent squad. He said they've got 15, 16 players, something like that, or 16 or 17 players that they use regularly. And by saying that, he alluded to the fact that he knows what the benefit of Leverkusen is. He knows why Leverkusen have an advantage over West Ham. But by the same token, later on, I mean within 3 or 4 sentences in his press conference, he said it's really hard playing Sunday to Thursday, and basically alluded to the fact that you need more players. So he knows what Leverkusen have done well. He knows that Xabi Alonso calls and uses all of his squad and all of his bench. And he knows he's disadvantaged by not doing it. Yet he still carries this small squad. And I do wonder about David Moyes. I do wonder about this mindset. Where did he get this mindset from? I think it was probably from his Everton days. Possibly even from his Preston days. And it was something really, it was always going to struggle to shift. And I'm pretty sure, if you are at Everton, when he took over at Everton, Everton were in massive trouble, and he created, they were called the Dogs of War, his Everton team. And he had a really small, tight-knit squad, and they were Gravison and Carsley battling in the midfield. I would have thought at that point it was probably advantageous, with only a Premier League fixtures to think about. I would imagine it was advantageous to have that small squad. And I just wonder if he's so entrenched in that, he still thinks that's the way to do it. And obviously there's going to be merits to having that small squad in terms of, having a tight-knit group of players who sort of all feed off each other and all rely on each other. But there's other things come into play when you have this, as he said, this Thursday, Sunday conveyor belt of football going on. And I think it's certainly been proven in 2 seasons now that West Ham have been a little bit lacking. And I'm talking about the Frankfurt season when we were out on our feet last time we were in the Europa League. And of course this season it looks like everything's going a little bit belly up, actually. We really had to enjoy a massive amount of luck and not have any injuries, not have any suspensions. Well, we got injuries, we got suspensions now. And now we're in a bit of a pickle. So for him to look at Leverkusen but not have done anything about something that he is aware of, I find a little bit frustrating. I think the other thing is I'm not thrilled with the way things have gone, because David Moyes, as I said in yesterday's video, David Moyes is 4 years into his project. We shouldn't be in this situation. And there's a lot of figures being used about West Ham and about Leverkusen at the moment, and it pretty much goes like this. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's roughly there, that West Ham have spent around 400 odd million in David Moyes' second stint, and over the same period Leverkusen have spent about £50 million net spend. Basically, they buy and sell far better than we do. Now, it's not the best comparison, and it might not be totally reflective, but what is clear is that we spend a lot more than them. And it doesn't really mean that they shouldn't be able to compete in Germany, because Germany, for a lot of the time, has been a one-horse race. So I think it's easier to climb up and perhaps do something there. But the fact that they're competing in Europe probably says something else as well. And I think what West Ham need to be doing, and if West Ham were ever looking at that and thinking, well, hold on, that's something we want to copy, that's something we want to replicate, because it is so well run, then we're doing the right thing. And by having Steidten in place, we've done exactly the right thing there. And that's why I'm absolutely delighted to hear this. I mentioned it yesterday. You saw at the end of the game, big embrace. It wasn't just an embrace with him and Xabi Alonso. It was an embrace, a few words. It was, it was clearly a conversation between two men who knew each other. And why wouldn't he know him? He was part of the process. Yes, Simon Rolfs. Oh, Rolfs. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Simon Rolfs was obviously integral in bringing him in. And he's the guy overseeing everything that happened at Leverkusen. But Steidten was involved. No doubt about that at all. Steidten was involved. And for that to happen, he knows the measure. He knows the importance of having a good person to bring in as manager. And we couldn't have a better person at the club. If we could, look, the guy to get was probably Rolfs. If we couldn't get him, then the guy to get is Steidten, and we have got him. So we have to back him. And you even heard when Steidten said recently in that interview that he did, that what he wanted to do, he wanted to come in and take full control of West Ham. Well, he's clearly just playing the long game now. And I don't know what's going to happen with David Moyes now. I really don't at this point in time. I suspect he's going. I really do. I suspect he's going. And I'm not even sure about the Everton job. The Everton job could be one. I had a chat with my old man the other day as well. Possibly the Celtic job. I mean, that's going to be appealing for him. Rodgers not doing too well up there, as I understand it. I don't follow the SPL particularly closely. Well, I don't follow it closely at all. I haven't got a clue what goes on. But I do know that Johnson... Brendan Rodgers is... did I say Brendan Johnson? Brendan Johnson and is not doing particularly... Brendan Rodgers! Bloody hell! What's wrong with me? Rodgers not doing particularly well up there. So maybe there's something in there. Anyway, I digress. For Leverkusen, and that Leverkusen model, if you like it, and that's what David Moyes said, the Red Bull model. Never mind about the Red Bull model. That looks rather old now, doesn't it? It certainly looks like it's the Leverkusen model is the one we should be looking at now. And I think we probably are. And... I think you've got to give Steidten the licence and the authority to go out there and do his stuff. And it sounds like that's happening. I'm not here to be moaning about it. I'm pleased. This is good news. Him being over at Brazil, looking at players, and to waste no time, to go straight from Germany to go to Brazil. I think before we've been unprepared. I don't feel we're unprepared anymore. I really don't. We may have been slightly undercooked for the January window, but maybe there were two things at play there. Firstly, the manager was still having his say. Well, clearly he was. We brought in nobody but Calvin Phillips. But it's hard to say this. In many respects, that might have been the best thing that happened to West Ham. And in terms of the transfers, because it might have even been that final nail in the coffin. Not even necessarily for David Moyes' future, but in terms of David Moyes bringing in players. If you're going to adhere to profit and sustainability regulations, financial fair play, you've got to get most of your transfers right, even more so than before. People always used to trot that out and say, well, who gets every transfer right? Well, nobody, but you've got to be better at it now. This season and next season, you've got to be better at it than you were last season, because every penny is going to be accountable for, and you need to get this stuff right. Well, we cannot afford to be wasting money and hemorrhaging money in the way that we were before. So big news, really, really good stuff that Tim Steidten is out there scouting, that he's staying. His brother's at the club now. He's brought in Maximilian Hans. Maximilian Hans. All hands on deck. That was it, wasn't it? That's really, really good news. I'm absolutely delighted. Before I go, match bingo. Match bingo this weekend. This is a really good weekend to do it. The West Ham game is £2 to play, but there is another £2 to play game. And that is the Newcastle game. That's got a prize pot of over £1,000. That's a really, really big prize pot. What am I talking about? What am I talking about with Match Bingo? Well, if you don't know already, Match Bingo are sponsoring a lot of Hammers Chat videos at the moment. They're a great bunch of people to work with, and they've created a really, really good app which combines bingo and football, which ordinarily you think, well, hold on, these two things don't go together. They really do. And particularly, if you're not particularly good at betting like me, all the hard work is done for you, because they give you a bingo card, and in that bingo card, you have a load of things that need to happen within the game. Throw-ins, corners, shots on goal, that sort of thing. And you can get different lines, you can get a full house, that sort of thing. I think the best thing we can say about it is we have had well over 30 winners at Hammers Chat. You guys, when I say at Hammers Chat, I mean you guys that watch these videos. And honestly, I say not a day, perhaps that's over-egging it. Every 2 or 3 days we get another message saying, oh, by the way, guys, we won on Match Bingo. And those are just people that tell us. Most people are just going to win it and not tell us. There's big prizes to be won here. As ever, it is a betting app, so you've got to bet responsibly. But only £2 per card. It's not like you're going to be going in there and spending a load of money. And the nice thing is you just wait for this thing to come in. The app will notify you if you've got a winner. It'll put the balance straight into your account. But there are also free-to-play games like the bingos. And also there's usually a championship game or a Premier League game each and every week, which is free to play. That pays out. Lots of people have won on that. Lots of people have won on the West Ham game, which this week is £2. I'm doing that, but I couldn't resist it. I've actually gone in for the Newcastle game as well, because it's such a big prize pot. Get a full house on that. In fact, they've got 2 full houses. Get a full house on that, and it's £500. They've got a secondary one as well. Anyway, the link's in the description below. Please do use the link. They'll know you've come from Hammers Chat. That's Match Bingo. Great app. If you've not tried it, try it now. Really, really good. Great people to work with. That's some of the good news. The best good news is, of course, Tim Steidten staying at West Ham, and he's out in Brazil now looking for players.